All right, so gotta pause the Asmongold here. I think it's live. Let me see. It still says waiting on my other monitor, but I'm assuming it's gonna pop up here any moment. We'll see if I logged into the right stream, and looks like it's starting. This is the every time here. Always got to figure out if it's starting before I start going here. Let me make sure my drone app is pulled up in the background here. Let's see. Look at the different tracks here. Gonna do my hour. Set the alarm here in an hour once I get this thing going. I will pull up. Okay, let's go to scene. And all right, it's on there. So it is Friday. Is it Friday or is it Saturday? It's Friday. It's Friday. See, this is the thing when you have like a weirdo work like myself. You have no idea what day it is. All right, we're gonna go to, let's try this one. Track 22. I hate how it always minimizes. Oh, you see that? Let's say controller error. Your controller appears to be unconfigured. I don't have a controller plugged in. Actually, let me turn my controller on and plug it in because that is important. Edge TX. Let's see what it does when I plug this in. Okay. And that's plugged in. Let me see here. Let me go back here. We're gonna try change track. Let's see if it just tries again, just to see if it does anything different. Oh my God! Look at that. All right, guess it's working. Maybe. All right, I'm gonna try it. Take off. Get this big thing in the middle. Iron Ryan. Okay. Yeah, this is again just flying around to just kind of like keep my hands fresh, try to get that built-in the muscle memory for flying around with the drones, which if you've been following, you can tell it's getting much better, much better, which is good. Oh, and I've crashed immediately because yeah, Protocol Plus. But hey, how you doing? I have not forgotten about Droid Shorts. I did, I think since last time I saw you, I did Saturn Wars on Sunday with 3PO, and then yesterday I brought 3PO out for my friend Andrew's wedding, which is pretty fun. And today I have been trying to get the this RX droid that I'm printing right now all like updated and printed, and then a piece of my printer broke. Not an important piece, just like one of the fan shrouds, and it's on my Prusa, and the thing is held on by this tiny little piece of plastic holds that thing on. I can't believe it hasn't broken already, considering how long I've had that printer. So I went online to find the piece because it is a printable part, and it's out there somewhere. I know it, and I found some other version that somebody made that looked like it was gonna be good. It fits perfectly, like where it connects to the fan itself fits really perfect, but I think it was made for the Prusa i3 MK 2.5 or whatever, and I have the 3, which has a bed leveling sensor that sticks down and blocks the stupid fan shroud from sitting correctly. So I printed it twice, because the first time it printed I got like some gook stuck in it from like a print that failed before. Some filament was stuck on my extruder, and some of that crept into here. Now that I've crashed, I'll show you guys really quick. So this is here's the broken shroud, which basically worked perfect, but this little chunk right here snapped off. So I reprinted another one, but it has this gray filament that got stuck down inside the fan shroud. So I was like, well, that sucks. So I printed it again. It looks great. Came out really good. I went to put it on, and it just wouldn't fit. I was like, why is it not seating properly? And I look, and on the back, you can see I try to crimp it right here. I was gonna just cut the piece off. There's a sensor that sticks down exactly where this thing is and blocks it from going on properly. So I have to go find the correct one. I'm gonna use the old model and print that, and then I can be back to printing my stuff. And I'll probably work on the droid shorts a little more tonight later once I get some stuff on the printer running. I've been kind of like fighting with that today on and off, which is cool. Big waste of time. Love it. I've had to reprint those shrouds over and over, but I've retired my Prusa now. Really? Which Prusa do you have? Do you have the same one I have, the MK3, or an older one? And if you do, would you sell it? Do you want to get rid of it? Let me know, because I love mine. I would love to get a newer. I wanted to get a bamboo, but that firmware stuff freaks me out. But apparently Creality has a new one that people are giving good reviews to, saying it's fast like the bamboo, and I would love to try that one out. I'm not in any kind of hurry to get a new printer, but the next time a big job comes up and they give me a bunch of money up front to start, I might buy another printer, a newer, faster printer, because it's nice to have them. But currently I've got like 9 printers, and they're not the fastest compared to the new ones, but they all do their job, so I can't complain too much. And I think that I have a big Creality CRM4, which came out right before they started doing like the shape smoothing stuff to make it print really fast. But I feel like all the motors and hardware would work with that if they do an updated firmware, but I haven't checked in a while. Because that printer could be a really fast printer, I think. It's got really good motors. The hardware on it's really great. But I think the last firmware it had doesn't support that as far as I know. I moved over to Kitty Tech. Is that what that's called? Kitty Tech? Ooh. How much would you sell it for, out of curiosity? Or would you trade it for something cool? Because I would trade something for it. Because my Prusa has just been such a trooper for printing. I really like that printer. It's just worked great since I got it. I've had one real issue with it, and that was a cable went bad for one of the the temperature monitors. What do you call them? Boy, my brain is blanking as I fly around. The thermistors. One of the wires was bad for it, so I found where the short was, and I just snipped out that piece of wire and soldered in a new piece. And my intent at the time was just like a temporary fix, and it's just had that on there for years. I don't even remember when I did the video for that, but I did a video about fixing it and how I did it, and I've never changed it. I never went back and put in the new thermistor. It's just worked perfectly ever since. And I've had, I don't know, just very few issues with that printer as far as printing stuff. And anytime I have, it's usually been like I didn't use it for a while and the bed was a little dirty or something, and something didn't stick right because, my own fault more than anything else. Can I make it? Oh my god. I updated the nozzle and the beds, maybe sell it for a couple hundred and trade it for some 3PO stuff. Yeah, let me know. I can make some 3PO stuff. I would definitely trade something for a printer. So just keep me posted, or I'll keep you posted on that, because that would be freaking cool. I would love to have another Prusa. Just the amount of how good mine's worked, I would like glad to have another one, even if there's faster printers out now. It's been a very, very, very good printer for me, which has been awesome. Look at this. I don't know if you remember, like 2 weeks ago, I could not do any of this stuff I'm doing right now. Oh, can I make it through this? Oh, and I crashed. Second I talk about it, crash. Yeah, I've got my new 3PO arms, which are currently not painted the way I want, but I've used them 3 times. I've used them 3 times now with paint that does not match the rest of the body. And in most lighting, it looks okay. You can't really tell. But every once in a while, I get a photo the right way. It just you can see that the paint is a mismatch, which is all right. How shiny it looks in camera versus like in person, the rest of the suit is really, really reflective, and the arms are done with. I initially did them with the Ultra Lumen, which worked great, but I oversprayed it, kind of messed it up, and then I decided, well, I gotta fix this for the parade that I was doing it for, the Hollywood Christmas Parade. And I didn't want to reshoot the Ultra Lumen clear yet. Or no, I take that back. I cleared the Ultra Lumen with tint, but I didn't wait long enough, and I kind of messed it up. So it was clear coated, Ultra Lumen, tinted, but the tint color was off of my suit by a decent amount. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do all clad over it. I did all clad over the whole thing, and then tinted it with the food coloring method like I do. It's food coloring and acrylic. That's it. And I wish I knew the trick, because the guy from Ultra Lumen told me how to fix what I had done wrong, but I didn't know it before I clear coated it. So it's going to get done again with Ultra Lumen. I'm going to test it one more time to see if I can get it better next time. But anyway, it's just food coloring and acrylic right now. I don't have any real clear coat on it, and it's all clad. So in person, not nearly as shiny as the rest of the suit, but in photos, looks shockingly close. If you know to look for it, you'll see it now that I've said something, but I think if I didn't mention it, not many people would pick up on it. Oh, he's gonna be there? That guy. Piece of garbage. Rotate nozzle and beds. Going to be, you know, who caught and they're going to flex when you are too when I see him. You should just run it into him. That would be best. He's, if it's who I'm thinking. Garbage person. I haven't been to a convention in a long time. I think that WonderCon is coming up here in LA here real soon. There's a couple that are really fun that are over this way. That last year I kind of missed a bunch of them. I just ended up being busy on the same days, and it was a bummer. I think LA Comic Con. It was in October. And I went up to do a 50-mile ultra marathon in Lone Pine that same weekend. I probably could have made it back for Sunday, but I just done a 50-mile race the day before, and I was freaking exhausted. This week I got to run a marathon at some point. I missed it on, it was Saturday, and then I got a job doing, I keep wanting to say Crash Bandicoot, but it's Ratchet and Clank. I was Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank, in a mascot costume for Insomniac Games, and it was real fun. Oh, what is this? Oh, sorry guys, my OBS studio blipped out, but it looks like I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know if you heard that, but I said you're in Colorado. Is that correct? Or do I have that wrong? Also, I was saying it would be cool to figure out how to do, like, get on the autograph circuit. Again, not that anybody would care, but I see people that have, like, you know, background alien #1 for whatever, like, you know, rando pilot that you see for literally 1 second, and they're out there signing autographs, and I'm like, all right, if they could do it, then I should be able to do it. I mean, I don't understand, like, it would feel weird, but I feel like it's a thing. I just don't know how to go about that, or if anybody care enough to do it, you know, because I think the conventions, you gotta, like, sell them on the stuff, but I feel like I've worked on enough things now that I could, you know, cross somebody's interests. it's kind of fun to just fly like this and just chat, and I'm not thinking about it real hard. I'm just trying to like move around and go through the gaps and things. Yep, Colorado. That's what I thought. I've only been to Colorado to the airport. I've been to Denver, and I've always wanted to go because there's beautiful mountains. And a few years ago, we were supposed to go, but something happened where we ended up having to spend a bunch of money right beforehand, and we're like, maybe we shouldn't. We had the plane tickets booked and everything. And then we're like, maybe we shouldn't do that right now. And chill out. And I'm kind of, at the time, I'm kind of glad we didn't, because it would have been stressful otherwise. And I'm kind of hoping like all this stuff goes good. And are you going to Japan? I can't remember if I asked you that before. Go as a builder, cosplayer, actor. I could do that. I feel like it feels weird to me, but also it just seems like a fun way to get to travel places. You know what I mean? Hang on a second. My phone's blipping. Let me make sure what this is. I have I'm doing a modeling for a makeup in the morning for some caveman thing, which should be pretty fun. And that starts at 10, and then I don't know what time I'll be out of that. And then I got a show to go to that night. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, it'd be fun to travel, and those things are weird feelings means you're humble. I guess so. It's one of those. It's interesting. I played in bands for a long time, and I mean I played all over the place. And I remember, I've signed autographs many times for that stuff. But it's always like a really niche crowd for that kind of thing. And it's weird to go places and like far away. The first time I went to Japan was with my band, and it was, have people come up and they're like, sign this, and I have like records that I haven't seen since like the 90s that we played on. Like, what is this? But if it makes people happy, then that is cool by me. But yeah, I don't know what the deal with the whole thing is. A while back, some place approached me for they didn't care about any of the Star Wars stuff or any of those things. They were like, because I was in that Weird Al movie with Daniel Radcliffe just as David Bowie for like a second. You see me for, I don't know, a handful of seconds, probably less than 15 seconds in the whole film. And they were like, contacted me about doing that, but then I was like, I don't know, and then I never wrote the lady back. But maybe I should contact her again and see, because she seems to be able to arrange those kind of things. All right, can I make it through here? Oh God, immediate crash. So I think I'm gonna go change this track. I'm gonna stay in the same level, but I'm gonna try it with a different track. Oh God, sorry guys. It's funny, multiple people have told me that watching this gives them motion sickness, and I could understand why. Oh my God, especially when you bump into stuff. Every time I bump into a gate, it just makes the drone go into some weird, suddenly I'm pointing to the ground or something. Or if I flip it, zip it, and dip it. I mean, oh my God, right? Come to Fan Expo Denver this year. Stay with me, no hotel. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. What's the date on that? Change track. Let's try this one. Try out, which one now? A Lazy Day Whoop Trick. Let's try this one. Alright. And we go. July 4th weekend. Yeah, that might be doable. I wonder if I could get them to front the airfare. That would be really cool. July 4th seems far enough out. Yeah, I'll look into that. That actually sounds really fun and potentially doable. And like I said, April is kind of crazy. May, my brother is coming into town, and March, I got a birthday. So I don't know what else is going on in March, and everything's been. Oh my God, almost made it. Everything's been freaking slow here. I'm hoping it gets awesome soon. We'll see. That's why I'm trying to get these drone skills up so I can do cool drone stuff. Are you working on anything new as far as your 3PO stuff goes? I mean, you saw him doing the shorts. Kind of have a game plan for a good chunk of a new suit. Now, I've got molds for a bunch of stuff, but every time when I to do castings and clean them up and do all that, they all take so much work from a casting to wearable. Even though I have a mold and everything, it's like they look cool and accurate, but it's still like a lot of work to get them like up to snuff. And I would like to get a really perfected version and remold it with like a cord mold where I can create the parts so that they look like the original trilogy's parts, but they're made like the sequel trilogy parts, the same kind of materials for the sequel trilogy stuff. Because I like the look of the original trilogy more. It just looks better to me. And but the materials that the new suits are made out of is really cool. It's kind of like that. It's like really durable, semi-rigid urethane, so that has a little bit of flex to it. And some of the parts are just 3D printed, like the arms on the sequel suit that I got to work on had 3D printed arms, and they were awesome. And it was just nylon, like SLS printed. Getting ready to make my new suit with Ultralumen, and then I'll sell the old suit again. Yeah, see, that's the thing is I'm trying to do all the parts that I redo. I think I'm going to try to use Ultralumen if I can get the process down, because it looks really good. And then my tests were good except for stuff that I did wrong. It wasn't fault of the actual paint. Like I done some stuff a little off, and the guy showed me how to fix it after I'd already like clear coated it. I wish I had knew beforehand, because I probably could have got a better look. But and he told me he said if you're going for gold, paint it over white or gray and not over black. So apparently the black makes it just a little bit darker, and it makes the gold look dark. That was his tips to me for doing that. So I said, okay, I will do that. And if you overspray it and it has that like hazy look, I posted a video on I think on my shorts, maybe on here on YouTube, where I took the piece out in the sun, and if you're in the shade, it looks really reflective, but if you get the sun hitting it directly, it has like a haze over the finish, and that's just non-clear coated, just the Ultralumen. And that was he told me how to fix it. It's basically you just spray it with 99% isopropyl alcohol, and you essentially like rinse off the excess, and when it dries again, it looks really, really shiny. You don't even have to apply more. It leaves behind the right amount. It looks really good. So if I had known that, it'd be good. And you got to make sure that you really, really let it dry, because it dries. It looks dry and it feels dry and everything looks dry, but he says you have to really let it dry good. And if you can bake it a little bit, it doesn't have to be like in an oven, but like put a heater in a box or something for like 6 hours and just let it heat. It really makes the finish good for clear coating. And a little bit of special instructions about using less of the activator in the clear coat, which I'm curious about why that is, because if I thin it, then that adds a solvent level to it. So I don't know. I don't quite understand that. So I'm going to do some tests with it the way he recommends, and then some tests my own way and see what the differences are. Because like just understanding the paints, I don't quite understand why it would make that much of a difference. He's going to create his own gold tint soon, replacement for California. See, that's really good. The California gold, it's become very hard to get. Like I've got a bottle here. It lasts a really, really, really long time. But the last one I got was actually kind of hard to find, and I've had that one a few years. And the first one I did, I popped the top open by accident, and it kind of like dried out. And you can reactivate it with acetone. So if you had some and it's getting like thickened up or whatever, if you put a little acetone in it, it will reactivate it, and it won't affect the clear coat. It's like a little acetone in there doesn't really change the clear coat at all, but the tint still works. But as soon as he does his own, I would do the whole suit with that stuff too. I just really like working with it. It's so forgiving. Once you have, you worked with the spray chrome, you know how it is. Like if you start getting a spot somewhere, sometimes you just can't rescue it, and you either live with it, and nobody notices it. But unless like it's on the middle of the face or something. But if it's off to the side or in a little nook, I mean nobody will see it. But it's still like it's not perfect, and that's annoying. And that just the fact that Ultralumen is so predictable, you can spray it, especially now that I know that I can like fix it if I overspray some. That's really, really cool. But yeah, so eventually I'm going to try to phase out my parts, and I'm going to see if I can get the Ultralumen to get close enough to the spray chrome so that I can, as I update pieces, I can just swap them out with Ultralumen parts instead of having to try to respray chrome pieces. The spray chrome is great. It's just so fickle, and just it stresses me out to no end. So if there's like another thing I can do, again, Ultralumen is really good. I see there's another stuff I see online now. I can't think of the brand. It's some foreign brand. I think the guy is Spanish, and it looks like the stuff that they're doing with Ultralumen, but the guy always has like a ton of it. He's brushing it on, and it kind of dries slow, and it has really, really good chrome look. But I don't know. I've never seen any videos of it being clear coated or anything, so I have no idea how it holds up to any of that. Little dog. Nope. Hey, buddy. Look at that. Oh. Oh god. Oh my god, I just smashed into something and it didn't even wreck. So I gotta get this orbiting thing down where I keep something in my field of vision. My transmitter battery has been yelling at me since I started, but I flew it the other day with it's telling me transmitter battery low over and over, and it never died. I did like an hour plus and the thing just kept working. So I wonder if there's a way I can change the setting where it doesn't start giving me the warning until it's really actually low. Because I think even with these FPV drones, most of them have pretty short batteries for the most part, not flying more than 5 or 10 minutes tops. So, but I guess too, I don't know if low battery affects the range much. I love all my parts except my shorts. Plus clear coat tends to flake off, spray chrome and Ultralumen won't flake nearly as much. Yeah, it really depends too. You know what it is like my first job doing the spray chrome, it didn't flake off. I mean, it has been really, really good about delaminating. And then I've had like, I say more than that, my first probably 2 times doing it, it's been very good without delaminating at all. And then I did a batch that kind of was like fragile as far as delamination. And I always try to figure out what it was different that I did on the steps. That was the thing with Spectrachrome that was like a big deal for their stuff, is that it wouldn't delaminate. It's got very, very good adhesion between the layers. So I just don't quite know what the difference is. Another thing I think Spectrachrome does, and I don't know if I could say I figured this out by accident, but something that I did accidentally was I sprayed a bunch of the sensitizer, and then something was wrong. I was like spotting in a place or something, so it wasn't, you know what I mean? There was like a grease spot or something that was keeping the sensitizer from laying down. So before I sprayed the silver materials, I had dried it, rinsed it, dried it, and then I torched it again to make sure that it was, you know, all good, and it wouldn't I don't know, repel the water. And after I torched it, I had basically, you know, sensitized it already, and then I torched it, and then I sensitized it again. And the silver, when I sprayed the silver chemicals, it developed so fast on the surface, and it looked really, really good. And it, you know, usually you wait for it to kind of turn silver, turns dark, and it turns silver, whatever. This, on the ones that I torched after a layer of the sensitizer and then resensitized, developed super fast. So back to with Spectrachrome, I think that their base coat might have a bit of the sensitizer added to the actual base coat, which sounds crazy, but I think it would work because it's, you know, their base coat's, I guess, you know, time sensitive. It's not it doesn't have as long a shelf life. It's just like regular base coat. Like if you got auto paint, it'll last a long time. And I wonder if that's what it was, is that they've added sensitizer to the base coat on top of the sensitizer that you spray on there. So you're still sensitizing the surface, but it's like a reassurance that it's gonna, you know, that it will actually adhere. Because their silver comes out very, very, very good, and it's hard to mess up. When I've seen them spray the Spectrachrome, you can still mess it up, same as any other ones, but it just seems more forgiving. And I always wonder if that's part of their process. Yeah, I'm the same. Like my shorts, I probably have them over here. I'll grab them in a second. But my shorts that I sculpted, I talked about this on the other one. If they're flexible, it's great. Flexible is great. But the ones that I did that are a hard material, sorry, my wife is whipping something in there. The ones I did with a harder material, the shape is not right to be made out of like fiberglass. But I did some in fiberglass. I added a little bit of a flexibility additive to them, but it's not flexible enough. And I've trimmed them up to within an inch of like being usable. And I think that they look better, but they're very, very hard to walk in. And they hold the chrome nice, but they're very hard to walk in. And so the last like 2 events that I just did, I was gonna wear them, and I brought my old vacuum shorts, which I hate. I don't like the shape of them, but they're comfortable. And I brought the new shorts, which are actually, they're comfortable to stand in. They fit over like, my whole hips and butt and the crotch, all that stuff. The fit is very, very, very nice. Feels really comfortable, but the legs are just not fun. So I'm kind of excited to get the new printable versions that I'm working on, because they are the same. Everything's the same scale-wise as the ones that I have that I like, but because the legs are already in the proper position, I think they're going to be much more forgiving to wear, even if I make a one piece out of them. So I think I'm going to try those in just PETG, and then cut out that middle section of between the legs like I always do with my shorts, because it just gives them that little bit of movement. And I have a feeling that's going to work pretty well, but I don't know. I'm still going to make the foam ones as well, especially for like, if they look good, then I'll do my Forlom and my CZ3, and then any other protocol droids that are painted will definitely have the foam fab shorts, I think, if I get them looking right. Just because it'll be so comfortable. So comfortable. I'm just hoping Ultra Lumen is the new way, new go-to. We'll save lots of time, and hopefully it's more forgiving. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's like you can spray such a small amount at a time. So if you're you know, if you're working on something, you don't have to mix a whole batch of chemicals and hope for the best. You could just put a little in an airbrush and just do a little part, and then you're done. Just clean out your airbrush and just go to bed or whatever, you know? Or pour the rest back in the bottle. You haven't wasted any. It's really nice. Whereas the spray chrome, it gets stressful because, yeah, if you mix too small of a batch, it's hard to get the ratios right. I feel like with all my tests, the best luck I've had is doing either like a full batch, like a proper full amount mix, or a half batch. I've done smaller batches, but it's like the ratios start to get just a little more sensitive. And just doing the ultra lumen is being able to, you know, just work again in the middle of the night, not have to set up a thing and get water all over the place and overspray all over everything. It's just, I just like the idea of it, and it looks good. If you saw like the video I posted where I had that 3PO head and I had overdone the ultra lumen just a little bit earlier, right before I got to that point, I had it looking really, really good. I have some a video or photos. I'll see if I can send it to you. And it looked really, really good. It was so shiny, but then I like oversprayed it. Again, my own fault, not the ultra lumen's fault. And oh god damn it! Oh look, I'm inside this place. Hello, John. We're flying around and we're talking about Rome paints, and it's super exciting. I'm thinking about taking another a second webcam and putting it over my hands, so you guys, anybody who's really interested, can see what my hands are doing. That was the one thing I liked about the other simulators, that had little like representation in the corner of what the sticks on the controller were doing. That was kind of cool. I wonder if there's something, there might be something like that in here. Maybe I can enable it, but I don't know. Alright, so can I make it through these things? Oh, I just crashed. That's good. I feel like as much as I've flown around this thing, I still discover new stuff all the time. There's little nooks and crannies I haven't been through yet. I'll find a path that works, so I kind of start flying around and I don't look in all the buildings. So this night we're gonna try to like fly, oh god damn it, fly in and out of all the spaces here. Yeah, I took man, yeah, so I took the 3PO at the last couple, like I said, Sunday at Saturn Awards and yesterday. And it's interesting because just not wearing parts for a while, and like they always, you know, since I started wearing it, there's on days and off days when stuff feels good and fits fine, and other days where it just feels weird, like it's not fitting the same as it did the previous time. But they're like fiberglass parts; they're the same shape, but it's, you know, clearly like my body is different from time to time. And like Sundays, it was just like, oh, I hadn't been in it in a while, and then yesterday was pretty much fine. Also, it's really a really short thing because it was like R2 and 3PO were the ring bearers for this thing. So we basically got in there, waited for them to, you know, get to that part of the ceremony, came out with the rings, stood there while I finished. The ceremony was nice and short, which I appreciate. Too long ceremonies can be freaking annoying. So we sat out the rest of the ceremony and hung out for a minute so they could do some photos with us, and then that was it, and it was done. So it was very, very easy. And the Saturn Awards, I was in the suit for like over 3 hours. I don't know, maybe closer to 4. I don't know how long. 3 hours, I think. What about shoes? What are your thoughts on it? Make them better? Mine are built out of boat shoes, but using fabric. That's exactly how I did mine. So I was just looking through pictures today because I have a set of cast urethane shoes that are, you know, screen accurate. I never, ever, ever wear them because they suck. And the ones I wear all the time, I've been wearing since 2012. And I just fabricated them. Same thing out of like some generic Vans. And I added the little piping detail, and then I sprayed them thick with clear coat and chromed them. So they're chrome. And in photos, like if you're backed up and just like looking at the whole picture, they just match fine. But in person, they're hideous. They're so beat up. I'm just like, hot glue patches all underneath, and just they're terrible. And when I did my RA7 for Skeleton Crew, I actually made a new pair of them that are they're better. They're way better than the first time I made them. But essentially the same thing. They're just like generic Vans. I made the piping detail real consistent and nice, and because I made a pair before, I kind of knew what to do, and I also made them with better adhesives, because the first pair I made back in 2000, it might have been 2011 when I made those shoes. First pair I made, I did them with hot glue. So it's all hot glue and piping detail, and the same thing. It's like a pair of shoes. I made a little template with some fabric to like bring the ankle up the right shape. And then I did some little foam detail on the front to square up the front like 3PO's feet are. And I had a set of castings for real ones, so I had good reference right in front of me. So it was like nice to be able to look back and forth to get the shape as close as possible. And then for the little ribbing shapes on the side, I had this material that I was going to use for the belly wires. And I had a bunch of it, and I cut little strips of it, and it has the little, makes the little vertical lines that go along the sole of the shoe. And that worked great for a long time. Most of it's still fine, but there's a whole strip got ripped off at something. I did it like during a parade or something. I came and I got back, and it was like, the back quarter of one of the shoes just missing that whole piece. I never changed. I just painted over it. But those, like, they fit great and they're more comfortable. But I looked at the ones on the new sequel suit. Those shoes they're cast out of urethane, and what they did is they cast like the top cap, and then they cast the sole, and the sole like fits into the bottom of the shoe, and I don't know how they attach it. It's either some adhesive in there, or maybe like pour more resin down into the shoe. I don't know exactly how it's attached. I'm assuming it's adhesive, but it's made in two pieces is what it looks like, and then like joined after the fact, so the shoe's hollow, but you have a nice cord shoe, and the shoes look great on the new suit. They're a little bit deeper just at the sole, which is I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but I sculpted a set a long time ago. I still have the sculpted shoes here. I'll probably never cast them. I should just melt the clay down and reuse them. But I sculpted a set of shoes, and that's exactly what I did. I like straightened up, the real ones are like all wonky shaped at the bottom. I straightened all that out, and basically the top of the shoe and everything looks exactly the same, but they're just a little tiny bit deeper, which gives me a little bit more room, just a little bit more forgiving. It's probably maybe 1/8 of an inch. And because the soles are straightened out, it kind of like opens up the inside a tiny bit. Have you seen the C3PO animatronic by Jesse M? Oh yeah. Yes, I have. It's pretty good. I've seen a couple of them in person. Like Chris Lee, I think, was the first person to make an animatronic one, and he fabricated his whole frame, and that's really good. And then Jesse did a fantastic job of building a printable animatronic. It's like the whole thing. It's very well done. It looks great. I've seen a lot of people working on them, and which I think is really cool, because when I started my build back in 2010 is when I actually started putting it together, and I think I really got it in my head that I wanted to build one about 2007. And 2010 I bought like the first suit I had. I purchased the pieces, and I thought that I would have it probably just as a display thing, and I was close to a size where I might be able to wear it, and I'd seen a guy basically my size wearing one, and it kind of got me motivated, like, oh, I could probably wear this. But when I started looking into it, I thought it might just be a display thing, but because of that, it would just be a static thing. And now Jesse's gone and made all this really great worked out all the files for the animatronic stuff. Now I haven't tried to build one yet, so I haven't seen his animatronic version in person. I've seen multiple suits of his in person, and they're really, really good. I've had some small critiques on them, but overall they're great. They're really, really, really good. And I think I definitely did. I chromed one of those suits for somebody a few months ago, and while I had all the pieces here, I kind of did a little bit of a look over them and critique to, basically see like what was accurate, what wasn't, and the stuff that's not accurate, nobody would notice, but me, because I'm a weirdo. But he did a really good job. But with the animatronics, I'm curious to see like how. I kind of am curious. Maybe I'll look at them and see just if there's anything that I would change, because I work with some shops that do a lot of animatronic work, and I'm very curious to see how what they did for the suit, what Jesse did, compares to what a shop like Spectral Motion or Studio ADI or something what they would do. And these animatronics for the film industry are pretty robust, and some of them made for theme parks and so forth. They're made to run like literally like millions of cycles before they break down. So it's, I think, overkill for something in in a person's home. But there are like takeaways from designing stuff that way. I'm actually right now redoing. Oh, let me see. Oh, I missed that. That leads me into Batango. I'm a mod on the Batango server, so I've shamelessly been curious if you've messed with it. I have not. He's incredibly generous and shared the fully rigged models for custom Batango animation. Wow, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, dude, Jesse's a really nice guy, man. He's talented. He's done a really good job with all the stuff he's worked on. I tried to meet up with him. I was in Texas. He lives in Houston, and I was there doing 3PO for some event at a jewelry store, and I forgot that Jesse lived there. I kind of hit him up a little bit late, like after I got there. I was like, "Oh, Jesse's in Houston," and he wasn't able to meet up, which is a bummer. But I think if I would have let him know like a week early, we probably could have arranged something. But yeah, I really wanted to meet up with him. He's a good guy. He's like kind of the reason, like back a few years ago, I was starting a 3D printable C3PO build, and I was gonna put him up on Thingiverse and all that, and then Jesse kind of beat me to it, and his files would be different than the way I would do mine, but they're really good. So I was kind of like, I don't have to, I don't really have a rush now to make those. And now that I'm kind of back at it a little bit, I'm trying to kind of like use, at the time it was like the Happy one, I guess, is the guy that had the scans from a Don Post thing, which is really nice. It's a very good starting point. But there are some weird things about the Don Post statue that I was trying to correct. It's like the left leg is really great, and the right leg is weird. It's like the right leg came from a New Hope suit. They tried to modify it to make it match the Empire Strikes Back or Jedi parts. I don't know what they did. The arms, it looks like they got arms that were missing a cuff or something when they molded them, so like the forearms are a little bit short compared to normal, and it has like the elbow piece of the forearm is different than almost any suit. But I did find a suit in the archives that has, or just a set of arms that had the weird elbows like that. So I'm assuming those are the ones that Don Post used for their build, but it's not like most of the ones that are in the films. They may have been like an experiment that they were doing. So it's got a little bit weird elbows, one weird leg, which is almost right, but like a little funky in the back for some reason. The shorts are almost right, but then it looks like they resculpted the back for some reason. Like maybe they couldn't get the legs in there properly, so they redid some. I don't know what. I always try to figure out why they did certain things. And I've seen, I got, like I've been to the archives and I've looked at multiple sets of 3PO shorts, and I've looked at the vacuform shorts, and then the rubber shorts that they used. They're like are more like urethane. Somebody said they were vinyl, but I think that they're urethane. Another friend of mine told me the ones I did for the prequels were urethane, molded from the same ones. But anyway, I've seen them, and they don't look like the Dawn Post shorts. Dawn Post ones are weird, and then the vacuform ones that Moncal does are they're based on those vacuform, or they're based on the Dawn Post shorts, and so the butt, like the details on the butt, are too short, and it's sort of strange. I don't know why it's like that. I think the torso and the shoulders on the Dawn Post suit look really good. And if you guys know anything about that, you know there's a level of shrink that has happened between the castings. I don't think it's as much as 5%. 5% is a lot. Everybody's like, it's 5%. I'm like, maybe, could be right. I don't know. But I know that Don Bees was saying how that it was like a little bit small. He was doing a critique, and he made the estimate 5%, but I think that's kind of just a guess. And again, I feel like 5% is maybe a little much. And then the Dawn Post head is like weird, slightly deformed. Mouth is small. Something happened between the molding process. I have a feeling when they did the molds, what they did is they did brush up molds on all the pieces instead of doing matrix molds. I think they did brush up molds for the initial castings. And when you do a brush up mold and then you make a shell out of fiberglass, if the fiberglass shell, it's going to shrink a little bit, and it changes the shape of your casting. I always tell people, do matrix molds if your tolerances are important and the dimensions are important. Do a matrix mold. Don't do a brush up, because with the brush up you'll get extra shrink, and it'll make things weird. Always. If it's a monster mask or something, you would never notice, but for mechanical or like hard surface stuff, it's always a little bit noticeable, in my opinion. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I would definitely take a look at that. There's no competition, or at least there shouldn't be, between protocol droid builders. I don't think there is either. I mean, that's one of those things. It's like, I'm going to do my version. Jesse's version is great, and I'm doing my version, and I'm kind of like I'm taking cues from a few things. Like I think that I want it to be as easy to put together as, like, you know, I think Jesse's assembles really, really nicely. Like he did, worked out all the tabs and everything. I want mine to look like original trilogy more than anything else. And it's subtle, you know, but I want to have it look very much like original trilogy. I'm going to do a proper set of New Hope legs that are New Hope specific legs, and I'm going to do Empire and Jedi, which are the same, but they're that style leg plus a version of New Hope legs, because I just want to have them all. And I said a New Hope arms, just slightly different than the other ones. And just make a proper one, because whenever I see people do New Hope version 3PO, it's like never quite, like, I get it, it's the parts that are available, but it's not quite right, because there's some differences in that suit. And myself included, I've done it to look New Hope, but it's not really correct. So I'm going to do a correct version of New Hope, and I want to make it look like an Empire Strikes Back suit physically and dimensionally, but I want to take the cues off of some of the sequel stuff, where, like, the way they designed the legs and the arms, there's some design things they did with the arms for the new suits that are really cool, and I want to take advantage of that, because it just is really good design. And what's funny is the stuff they messed up on the new suits is stuff that I messed up on mine. And I think they're kind of the same things wrong with some of Jesse's. Like the arms there's one of the cutouts is a little weird. It's very, very, I could not figure out how to get it to look right and move right. And I tried over and over. I mean, I made multiple iterations of arms, and if I did them to where they looked right from the front, then they wouldn't bend properly, and if I made them look right from the side, then the gap in the front was wrong. It was really weird. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then my newest arms, that's all fixed now. It's all figured out. And it took me literally years of back and forth little experiments to try to get it worked out. So that has worked out now. So I feel like I've like crossed a weird milestone with my stuff. And like the new arms on my suit are just like my favorite ones, and they're the first ones that don't pinch me every time someone bumps into me or, you know, does any, you know, if someone walks up close or I'm walking wrong. All of my arms, every single pair I've ever had has like pinched me right here at the very top, and this set does not do that. Almost never. It's like, I guess it can in very specific circumstances, but it typically does not, and that's really nice. The first night I wore them was for the Hollywood Christmas Parade, and it felt wrong. I'm like, I feel like something's not right because I'm not getting pinched or the arms are too comfortable. Better rotating shoulders. I wish I could crack that. So I'm on my, I don't even know what iteration now. And the ones I've got right now, I almost like. So I think what I think for the rotating shoulders is that they really almost need to be done, at least the outer ring needs to be done out of metal. With the 3D prints, even the best ones I've done, there's always a little tiny bit of flex. And if you put it on the suit and there's just a little tiny bit of flex, they do not rotate quite right. So, and that tiny little hinge that holds everything in place at the top, it has a lot of force on it if something's not working properly. So if you 3D print it, even with good materials, the chance of ripping out a screw or something out of that little hinge is pretty high. Now, after looking at the real suits, and you know they got that weird like accordion metal thing under the arm, I got a really good photo of one of those from the archives. I had the archivist hold one open like this, and you can see how it's all put together. So I got a very good reference of that. And I'm going to do that. And I think that little accordion thing actually helps the shoulder rotate without putting so much torque on the hinge. So that's a thing that I want to incorporate. On top of that, I think I might get some metal shoulders done at Sin Cut Sin and just make them in stackable segments. So they stack together, and then you pin them with like a pressure fit pin. And I'm going to do them like the ones that I made where I can flip them upside down and they go together, so I can take the shoulders off really easy for transportation. But then they can pop back on and they won't fall off. As long as they're upright, they won't come off. They just can't. So I think I'm going to have some done at Sin Cut Sin, some metal ones. And if they work and they do what I want, then maybe I'll sell them as make a kit, or maybe I'll get the pieces and assemble them the way that I want. Because I think that'll work better or easier and cheaper, but look just as good as fully machined ones and be a lot less money. And that whole thing being iterative. Let's see, better rotating off the shelf bellows material or bespoke. I think they're made custom for the suit, but you never know. I mean, I feel like the actual shoulder rotating pieces are a found item at least for New Hope, and then I think they recreated them for the other films. So if you look at them between the films, there's like a little different between like Empire Jedi on. They kind of look the same way, but in New Hope, even between a couple of the 3PO suits, there's some slight differences in those shoulder rings. They're the same size. It's almost like the same part, but different iterations or something of the same piece that they were working with. And there's like little differences in them. Even again, once we watch New Hope again, look at their shoulders throughout the film. They change a little bit, like from a couple of the different suits. But the little part that connects them, they're these really, really thin metal. And what they've done is they're like tacked together, like tack welded, like at opposite ends, so that you could, like, if you splayed them out, they would be like every other side is like connected. It's kind of hard to explain it, but I could draw it real easy. And then through all the rings, there's like these little holes to go. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe like 12 of them around the ring, and it looks in some of the shots, like there's a little elastics between each one of them that helps draw the shoulder back down when he puts his arm down. And what I think it is those little elastic bands where it's like it's just a strip of elastic and it has a little metal tab at each end, so you could slide the metal tab through and lock it. I think that's what that is. Don't know for sure, but it's what it looks like. And you could, if you did it right, you could put those inside, and when you move it, now you got this thing that splays out, but that little bit of tension to help pull it back together. It's pretty interesting. And the one that I saw that they opened up at the archives didn't have that in there, but in some of the films, there's shots where you can see it. Look at like Empire Strikes Back, especially when they're in the Millennium Falcon and in the cockpit, there's scenes when 3PO put his arms up and you can really see it. Great. Like you can see all the little segments in the shoulder, and you can see the little elastic bands that like are tying it in there together. So it's a pretty complicated thing, and I've never seen anybody do it right. I've seen a couple people do pretty close versions that kind of look like they're going for it, but they don't quite have it down. But it is one of those details that would be nice to really nail down. I mean, eventually, my obsessive brain wants to do metal arms, and I want to do also the same arms like the sequel suits. I want to do the sequel style arms. Some of the pieces on those arms I want to do, but I want to make them look like the original trilogy. That's what I'm saying. Dude, oh my God, yeah, like McMaster Carr has so much crazy stuff. I mean, I went through, you didn't understand the amount of days and days and days I've spent, literal days, where I'm like all day just scouring. Like there's stuff where it looks so similar to something else that I feel like, like the little valve, I call it the throat valve, the little thing in the throat, and then like the thing in the belly. It's also in the back of the head. I have searched so hard for those parts, trying to figure out what it is, and I found stuff that is super similar in design. Like it looks like the same thing, but much newer, made out of plastic, and it's clearly not for whatever would have been around in the 70s, but the function of it is makes me really go, okay, I might be on the right track. So I start just looking at everything I can find, and it is tricky. I have no idea. It could be like I could be totally off the mark, but what happens is you find 50 things that look just like the same kind of design element, and it makes you feel like you're doing the right thing. So I don't know. I just got to the point where I'm just like, look, I gotta stop wasting my time. One day I'll figure it out, or something will pop up and I'll figure out what it is. But and there's always these behind the scenes photos that from like this classic. There's all these old behind the scenes photos from Star Wars. I can't remember the page on Facebook, but there's one that has tons of them. I always saved them. I have a huge folder full of those pictures. A lot of them are black and white, but in those pictures there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff where you see like a workshop and they're working on something from Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back, and in the background there'll be 3PO parts sitting on a table, or just stuff, and you just scour through those pictures and try to make out what the hell is around there. Like maybe there's a hint to something that would be helpful to me. Look at this. I'm trying to do the slower, controlled exploration here without crashing as much. But yeah, it is a hunting game for sure. I'm always amazed when some of the parts get found and they're so obscure and weird, and stuff that it's not even like a visible part. Like you would have to have disassembled something to find it, and that's always funny. Always going to thought RPS just figured out, thought they were infallible. Oh my gosh, no! I mean, it's like RPF, they figured out quite a few things. There is a page, parts of Star Wars, that has so much cool stuff. They've really figured out a lot of things, but some of those little 3PO pieces. And again, the shoulders that are on all the protocol droids. So if you look at CZ3, RA7, C3PO, even when they did the medical droid 21B, the 21B call out on the blueprint is like, it basically is saying that I think those are custom machined for that droid, but they are a call out to the other protocol droids on the blueprints, and has the measurements and everything to match up. So I feel like that was definitely a found part, and I know that they were getting all this stuff from this airplane scrapyard, tons and tons of stuff, and there were elements that were designed after they found some of the parts. I always try to figure out like the process, like when they went hunting for pieces, because you'll see blueprints that include some found items from the airplane scrapyard, and I was like, okay, so they clearly like had this stuff sitting around, and like some designer went through, and as they're coming up with the interior for the Falcon or the Cantina or whatever, they knew that these pieces were available, and let's add them in as like a part of this this big cannon, or this whatever it is. So because my brain, I'm thinking they're going to come up with a thing and then they go look for pieces that match, but I think a lot of it was the reverse. But because they had purchased so much stuff from this airplane scrapyard, I always wonder how many of the pieces for 3PO might have been stuff that they got there. So I did some heavy digging into some of the airplane engines that I knew that they bought, like full engines, and just took them apart, because there's tons of stuff off like the Rolls-Royce Derwent engines. There's so many pieces around Star Wars that it came from those engines, and I was like, man, I wonder if there's like some kind of big bearing in there or something that they there's maybe 2 or 3 of these bearings per engine. They bought a few engines and now they got protocol droid shoulders. I don't know. So it is hard to tell. But again, though, the ones from the later movies were, the shoulder pieces are definitely like machined later. Same with like the 3PO, like the little antenna for the head and some of the other pieces. If you look on the blueprints for Empire Strikes Back, where they were making new versions, it's basically like refer to the to the piece from this other thing. So like the antenna on 3PO's head is like almost definitely a valve stem from something. I found valves that look like valve internal stem parts that look almost exactly the same, but they'll be like big. They're from something different, like some kind of hose fitting or a hose nozzle, and it's got this big fitting that looks almost exactly like a 3PO head antenna, but just huge. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm on the right path. So anyway, I scoured through so many of those plane parts. I actually have a PDF of one of the old repair booklets for a Rolls-Royce Derwent engine, and I looked at those stupid drawings, pages of drawings of the stuff, just trying to see if I could get a clue. Nothing. No idea. I got a question about shoulder ring, but it's hard to ask here. I'll ask you about it offline. Instagram's like, oh yeah, please do. Again, I'm on like my umpteenth version. The ones that I have on my suit right now are kind of like a test version. They're not quite right, but man, they work really, really well. But they need like a little tiny bit of tweak. Like I feel like if I don't mind cheating some of the stuff. Like I've never had those little rings in my shoulder, the little baffle little pieces or anything. I always liked them. I always wanted to add them, but just didn't know quite how to do it properly. And the newest version I have acts like it's got rotating shoulders. I actually put bearings in mine, so there's a they turn. I wonder. I actually have my suit close by. Maybe I could grab it if you guys would hang on for a second. It's in the box. Let me see if I don't know if I can pull it out. I'll take it out. I'll bring it out tomorrow or the day after when I come back on. I'll just have it nearby. If you guys are here on Sunday, Sunday I'll be doing this again. I'll have it nearby. Oh man, it smashed into a red light. But basically it rotates. It's on a bearing, and I added, this is a thing that I hate. I don't like the strap, but I put a strap of Velcro on the inside to hold it on. However, it's got magnets that hold it to the ring, so when I move my arm, it rotates properly. But if I lift my arm, it can pop loose from the magnets and lift up if it needs to. Now, it typically doesn't have to do that. It's very rare that that happens, but it has like that. It's almost like a safety thing to have that little piece of fabric in there because I can lift it. And I think if I did that, but then had the little baffle piece in there, it could look accurate and move accurately, but be very easy to disassemble for transport. Here goes Natalie. What are you doing, Natalie? Oh, Peloton. That's cool. So yeah. So it's been exciting. Yeah, I'll bring them out so you guys can see them. Let me see here if I got a picture of what they look like. I have used them maybe like 5 times now that I've actually taken a suit out with them, and in the last 2 times I ended up actually, it was just for the parade, and actually last 3 times. Did I do it in the parade? Last 3 times. I put a little piece on it to disable the rotation because I was just not going to be doing much, and the first time I did it, at one point it got rotated, and then because of the strap popped open, it did something really weird, and if there's nobody there to like fix it, it looks bad. So I did not want that to happen. And that's another thing I was talking about, the little bit of flex between the suit. Why it'd be so good to make them out of metal is because the little bit of flex, like one of the shoulders works really, really, really great, and the other one binds just a tiny bit, which is annoying. Oh my God, what I just hit. Yeah, the other one binds just a tiny bit, which is very annoying. Not bad, just enough where I notice it and it bothers me. But it's better than my previous design mobility wise, but I like my previous design for disassembly. So I'm trying to figure out like a happy medium. I actually was working on something else, and I made a set of bearings for something different. And I thought, man, I could probably make it where the bearing part stays on the shoulder. Oh, I just went underwater. Where the bearing part stays on the shoulder, and then the outer shoulder is still removable, but the inner part still has like the bearing. So when you put it on, it'll rotate nice, but it still is removable, like my key and lock sort of version. That I just think that design was my easiest one to work with, but I just didn't like the way I had it. The shoulders didn't lift up just because I hadn't figured out how to make that strong enough at the time. So anyway, it's just like 50 versions of things, and those things are easy to print and easy to test. So if I make an iteration, I try it and it sucks, I got a pile of them. Like in my upstairs room, there's so many shoulder tests up there that are just a little bit different tolerances and all kinds. I have a pile of them, like a whole pile. I think I just save them because I'm like, if I ever make a display droid for someone, I could just use them on that because they look totally fine. They just aren't going to work quite right for a costume. We have defense customers, so we take that pretty seriously. If you ever need custom parts, reach out. I might be able to do some runs in our shop. Wouldn't be as cheap as sending it overseas, but we go further than me. That's really cool. Yeah, man, thank you. That'd be awesome. That could be very handy. And it was a lot of the pieces where I used to want them in metal, but now I just don't care because I feel like so much stuff, the 3D prints that are painted and or I make resin casts of them, they look the same. And after wearing the suit so much, there's only a handful of parts that I like to be metal. I would like to do metal neck, the metal neck rings. I just think would be great to have in metal. The shoulders and the neck, main things. I would love to do a set of metal arms like the original films, and I actually think I figured out how they made them because I've looked at them in person, and the shape is like, it doesn't look welded, and I was like, how do they do this? I have looked at them a lot, and I started to wonder if they made a template and then spun them like they do with a saxophone or something. Where you start with a sheet of metal and you have like a wood cylinder in the middle, and you spin it, and basically form the metal around the part that way. And I was watching these guys, I don't know, like a year ago on Instagram in India making all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And I was like, man, this kind of looks like a really good way to make the droid arms. The base, they just spin out the shapes, get it as thin as you want. And I mean, I've yet to find like the appropriate metal and like shape the way. When you see them in person, there's no seam lines that I have noticed. And I'm like, okay, what's the trick? They're either welding them together and then, grinding them really carefully. But if you spin them off from a piece of sheet metal, you won't get any of those lines. And it'll just give that same thing. And really, really consistent too. Which, again, you remember the first film when they did this, the budget was not big. And they were building a lot of stuff. So I feel like they did, as good as everything looked, they did it on a pretty tight budget. So, I think when the next movies came around, they had time to like redo stuff properly, and they updated all the fasteners and did all this stuff to make stuff easier. But I don't know. But yeah, so as far as metal pieces, I'd love to have a metal neck ring and metal shoulders. But again, as long as the stuff is made right and painted right, nobody's gonna know what the hell it's made out of anyway. So I think that's just sort of like personal wish list. I still have metal greeblies for most of the stuff, but I never use them. They're just in a box. I always debate selling them. There's brass, I got brass pistons, arm pistons, and the belly pieces that you could see in the original trilogy. Oh, look at this. Oh, God. I didn't crash out all the way. Can I get through this bus? Yay. All right. Oh, my God. Oh, my phone is blasting. What time is it? Have I been on here for too long? Yeah, I've been on over an hour. My transmitter's been yelling at me the entire time. Let's see here. Water jet for rings. Yeah, water jet would be awesome. That would be perfect for knocking out those little things too. I wish I could share images. I'm a designer, not a machinist, but I show you some of the neat stuff we make. I would love to see like that kind of stuff. I mean, I grew up, my dad worked for Pratt & Whitney when I was a kid, and I would see all kinds of like, weird pieces. And what was the place? There's Apex Surplus that's in San Fernando, and there's another one called, oh my God, it's on Laurel Canyon. And they had all these like surplus rocket parts. And they had all these beautifully machined, but some of them were old, from like the 60s, but beautifully machined parts are probably all done by hand. I don't even know if they were doing CNC yet, but like boxes, these things, really complicated pieces, and I have no idea what they went to. Just weird parts that just probably were just extras, and then just boxes of these weird aluminum pieces. And I'd go through there and just wonder what the heck all this stuff was used for. What's the company you work for? Can you say, or is that top secret too? Oh, try to do that bus. Didn't make it. Let's see what happens now. Can you do the horse legs? Nope. Bad angle. Yeah, I want to get all that stuff jamming. This week's been kind of crazy, and like I said, I'm trying to redo this RX droid, all the interior pieces. So I'm making one right now that is basically updated parts, but compatible with all the screen used ones. Like if you took the pieces to the one I'm doing, they would fit into the screen used droids, and vice versa. But I'm simplifying a lot of stuff because Dave Ferreira did the like animatronic pieces for like the head, like the pan and tilt, and the upper arm, and they're really well designed. He's great. He's a really smart guy. Came up with a good concept, and we did this in a hurry. So you know, he did what he did to make it work, but it's very overly complicated as far as the amount of parts. Like the actual what it's doing is not overly complicated, but I think the amount of pieces you have to make it work is way too many. So I've been kind of like super simplifying the design, but also keeping it compatible with the original parts. And I kind of got carried away with that today. And then I'm going to do a completely new version of this stuff, which will be maybe like, I don't know, 60% compatible with the screen use droid, but like much simpler to put together inside. It is one of those, like, in retrospect you see something and you could be like, oh, this could be better, but at the time it all worked great. Exitron, super small automation company in Silicon Valley, around 64 School of Hard Knocks. Wow, that's cool. I've been up to San Jose a couple times to Google X, and they've got like a really cool machine shop up there. One of the guys, I don't know how far you are from that, if you know where that is, but it's the same thing. Like, I'm not thinking of the guy's name off the top of my head right now that ran the machine shop there, but he was super nice. And it's just like, it seems like anything they want to make there, they can just make it, just so that they know how to use the equipment. And you know, they're there to like accommodate anybody's ideas in the whole building, because they're always doing, you know, crazy stuff. And like Waymo started over there. They were doing all the first tests for Waymo at that place, and a whole heap of other things. And what's his name, Mo Gadet, the guy that he's written stuff, a lot of like kind of like, you know, AI safety stuff. He was working there when I was there, and it's funny because he talks about these robots that they were working with. They were learning to like sort these balls, all these little shapes and stuff. And when I was there, I saw those robots like in the early stages of them figuring that stuff out. And he talks about those robots being the thing that kind of got him scared about AI safety, because it's just something about watching them and how quickly, once they started to learn how all of them could suddenly do a thing. Oh, look at this. I didn't even realize there's stuff back here. It kind of got him a little bit worried, but those robots were there the first time I was, like the first couple times I was there. They were upstairs, like up there working on sorting a bunch of items. It was really neat. Waymo uses our machines to thermal test their chips. Wow, that's cool. So you guys are probably super close by. I guess like the Google X building was built in like an old department store or a mall or something. It looks like an old mall, but they turned it in all these spaces, and they've got all these cool projects going on in there. It's really neat. But yeah, the Waymo stuff was neat. Have you ridden one yet? It is wild. I've been in them twice, and this was before they were like, now they have they use those Jaguars as their base car and all this. But when they were still in the vans and they were testing them out of Google, I'd been in one, and then like a year and a half later, I went in one again, and it was, the improvement was pretty cool to see. But it's a weird thing. It's riding there and it's like driving itself around. It's just pretty surreal if you haven't done it. And I don't know how the new ones are when you go for the cab ride, but the ones that we were in had, in the back of the seat in front of us, had screens that showed everything that the Waymo was seeing, which kind of helps feel more confident, I guess, about being in a thing, because it really has a good idea of what's going on all the time, and I mean way more than a person could see. So that was kind of reassuring. They got them down here in LA now, and my friends are, I guess, starting to take rides in them, and always post like, "Oh my God, I rode a Waymo today." And it's weird to see them driving around and just look over and there's this car with nobody in it, going places. I heard. I mean, there's video. I didn't hear it, but there's a video of this thing where their little, the Waymo like parking garage is, or parking lot, and all of them start honking at each other because I guess they are programmed to honk if a car is backing out close to it or something, just to give a warning. And in the parking lot, they're almost hitting each other constantly, and they're all honking at each other. It's it's making all the people, the residents nearby, crazy. You know, if I have a Model 3 and that software blows my mind. Wow, yeah, the full self-driving stuff is nuts. It will try and kill you if you're not paying attention, though. Wow, that's what I've heard. Is you gotta like touch the wheel, or it can monitor with your eyes and stuff, right? Like if it can tell if you're paying attention to what's going on. And then that thing, it's got that the full self-driving. It can do the thing where it'll go park itself, right? Or it'll come to you from the parking lot. If you come out of a building, you can like tell it to come pick you up, right? And it'll just do that completely by itself. I mean, I think that stuff is very cool. And that one's just camera based. It doesn't have all the LiDAR and stuff, if I remember correctly. A lot of the Teslas, I remember Elon Musk saying that, like, you don't need LiDAR and all those other sensors. Like the Waymo has all the crazy sensors all over. It's got like the pods on the roof, and on the corners of the four corners of the car have like LiDAR detectors, LiDAR scanners, I should say. And I think the Tesla's cameras, if I remember correctly. Oh, look at this. There's like a little dining set at the top of this roof. Look at that. Somebody's little setup. All right, let's get out of here. I need to meticulously check all these rooftops to see what's where. I still think it's fun to fly around here and see like what stuff people have, you know, modeled into this board. All these little setups on the roof. The dog. And this rooftop, we got some like little bunker. Oh, there's like a truck there. Some kind of monster car. Smart summon. Had to look at my app. Yeah, smart summon. The car will come back because that is freaking awesome. Especially like if you leave a store and it's like all rainy and you don't want to like walk out across the parking lot with all your stuff. Say, all right, come get me, car. Oh, got too excited. Alright. Nuts. There's wheelchairs out here. I guess this is in front of the hospital. Can I go? I don't think I've ever looked inside the hospital. Can I go in here? Kind of. There's no upstairs. It's just a lobby with nothing in it. And I crashed. Perfect. Perfect. Alright, let's check this out again. I don't think everything's quite to scale here. Look at this. Hospital rooms. Hospital beds. Yeah, I wonder what the most interesting thing on this game is here. Got some hospital beds in there. It's on the other floors. Most of the floors are empty. Oh, damn. Alright, I am over my hour here. I'm probably gonna log out here in a second and go get back to work. Get this new stupid piece print for my printer going. And yeah, go get my new piece for my printer rolling and start printing some pieces for this RX droid so I can get this dumb thing finished. It's taken forever. And I'm like at the, I don't know, 78% mark as far as printing. I got one arm left and a bunch of greeblies and then some connector pieces that I don't want to lose my momentum before I'm done. Alright, where are we going to go here? No. I'm going to keep flying, I guess, till I crash out somewhere. Which is actually, oh my god. I mean, this is, oh, there it is. All right, it has crashed. We'd love to see some ray trace photorealistic levels for this game. You know what's funny is I could turn up the resolution on this a bunch. Let me see. I should probably do it next time. Advanced drone setup. I think it's in the main menu. Which let me see. How do I go back? Exit session. Yes. And for some reason, it just will jump to this tiny little thing. Okay, so multiplayer quick start options. See, I came in here the other day and I was like, screen setting. See this tiny resolution? I think that's why it jumps to that little screen. But this was the initial resolution when I got this. I never changed it. When I changed it, and then I went to do like, you know, automatic full screen. The full screen was still at this resolution, so it looked awful. But it seems like when I switch to full screen, the quality comes up. See, high quality trees, no, yes. High quality water, fisheye camera. I don't know what that is. Let's see, frame rate capping, quality level. All right, this is probably gonna like freak out here. Let's just try it, see what happens. Yeah, it's tiny. Yes, let's see what. Let's just see. I didn't go crazy. I probably should quit now, but I'm curious to see what it looks like with those features turned up. I mean, it might be for different levels. Seems those trees look exactly the same. I don't know. Do you guys see any difference? I don't. If there's any difference, it's not enough to impress me right now. And I know this level is supposed to look kind of cartoony. So maybe there's another level that looks better. Here, let's go to another. Let's change track. Now I'm just curious. Let's go to countryside. It's pretty generic, right? Fly. And yeah, it looks exactly the same to me here. So maybe it's. Oh wait, that little close up when I just started. Do these trees look any different? Oh yeah, look at them populating as you get close. These trees look better. I was gonna say, I think the Apocalypse board is already meant to be, you know, is meant to be cartoony. But this one, these trees definitely look better. But you can see them kind of like the shadows popping on as you get close. That's annoying. But you know, that looks pretty nice. It's not photoreal, but it's better than it was. This course is I kind of like, but it's also not. You know, it's not as exciting, but it's probably more realistic to like the kind of stuff I'd be flying in once I get going. That Apocalypse world. I don't know if you guys have seen. Oh, whoops! Where am I? Look at that. Outside a map. They found the edge of the world. There's those buildings in downtown Los Angeles where all those people just spray paints, like they abandoned construction 3/4 of the way through. Oh, look at that. And those buildings look like really, really fun to fly the drone at. There's just big empty buildings with no windows anywhere, just tons of floors. I don't know. Seems really fun. There's whole like a roof deck, pools, and all kinds of stuff. All right. I don't know. This is fine. This is one of those things where the difference in graphics isn't good enough to justify, you know, doing anything more. Those set of trees over that way look better. And that's it. All right. What else is on here? There's some trees over that way. It's funny because the trees just sort of appear now. I think before I had the tree setting so high, the trees would be there already. See this thing where they're popping in? That's annoying. I mean, I don't know if that's because my computer isn't fast enough or I just have a different setting. But probably one of the other settings can be turned on to prevent that the water looks a little bit better. There is another simulator that's got really good graphics. I can't remember which one it is, but apparently the flying physics are not quite as good as this one. Like this one is, everybody's telling me the physics in this one are very realistic, which is important because if I'm gonna fly for real, I want to make sure that I don't crash out. Look at that. See all the fake grass. Oh, there it is. All right, that's it. That's enough crashing. Both FPV view and you in the corner can't keep up with the bandwidth. Oh, wow. Oh, I see. It's like interesting. Was that before, or is this just starting right since I changed those settings? Because it's playing completely fine on my machine. I'm not having any issues with it like rolling along. I'm not having it glitch out or anything. But if it's affecting the stream, that ain't good. Tree density is equal how proportional and good. That makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the original, whatever the old settings were. I don't care if it's. I just want to fly around stuff and try not to crash. That's my main goal. Is just get better at maneuvering, and if it looks like garbage, I'm okay with that. Options. Where is that? I'm gonna change it back before I leave because I will forget. Was it on beautiful? We had it on good. And what else did I do? Did I change something else? I can't remember. Full screen. If I put this on yes, and this is the resolution, it flips out. I gotta change this. Let me turn this up a little bit. Let's just go to like, what is it, 640, 40, just a little bigger. So when it minimizes, maybe it doesn't go so small. Let's do that, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. We'll do that for now. That's fine. Graphics, hard and soft shadows. Shadow quality medium. Color grading. High quality trees. No. Okay. That's the only one I did, right? I did trees, fisheye camera, and all that stuff's off. I think that puts it back. See, this is kind of how it looked when I first got it. It would minimize, but it would be sort of this size versus that itty bitty postage stamp thing. Anyway, it is what it is. All right, kids, I am going to get back to work, and I will be back. Maybe I'll come back tonight and do ZBrush if I get it far enough ahead on my other things. But it'll be good. Thanks for the chat. As always, going to write you on Patreon just for the link. Dang. Oh man, thank you very much. I keep forgetting that people can write me on there. I'm so new to using Patreon that I don't know all the ins and outs. I got to start like integrated into my day to like check it and all that, and then just start getting stuff posted. I've got 10 projects. I need to start. I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna like finish a project and put it up there, or I'm gonna work on all the projects and like put them up piecemeal. I think so that people are, getting 10 things. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. And see how much I can concentrate. This zombie. Hey, buddy, you okay? All right. It's got a little wig on. But okay, I'm getting out of here. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I'll be back in a couple days. See ya. Bye.